It's Missouri. So one weekend, I'm wearing shorts. The next weekend, I can't get the pontoon boat out of the lake because the ice is too thick. Shout out to my neighbor for actually bringing over his skid steer and hooking a chain to the front of the pontoon boat and dragging it onto the shore. So yes, I now have a boat in my yard and a wrecked car in my driveway. I'm doing my best to fit in out here in the country. But with the ice setting in here at home, it got me thinking about Lake of the Woods, Devil's Lake, these ice fishing meccas that we talk about and we have friends at. So I wanted to bring tonight's guest on to talk about all things Lake of the Woods, but really starting to nail down some ice fishing. I've got the bug. I want to get back up there. I want to learn more.
I'm Nathan McLeod.
Hey, everybody. I'm Paul Johnson with Riverbend Resort on Lake of the Woods.
And welcome to the Drifted Outdoors podcast. Now, Paul, you and I were kind of visiting. We're podcasting before we hit record on a lot of our mutual friends up there in Baudette on Lake of the Woods.
Oh, no, don't you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I actually got Minnesota ties. I played college hoops in St. Paul, so I spent quite a few years in the land of 10,000 lakes. But I'm not sure. Have you ever made it down to like the Branson, Springfield area here in Missouri? Are you familiar with Johnny Morris's Wonders of Wildlife?
Beautiful. Oh, my gosh. We actually had a chance to come down the Aglow in 2023.
You guys met.
Yes.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
I spent all my time on Lake Taneycomo, so I remember the fishing. I don't really remember the conference.
We were too busy drinking enough to buy half-naked pictures of Pat Camerton.
Behind a mermaid set.
Those rights are owned and copyrighted by Driftwood Outdoors.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. Yes, I do remember that now. So I bring that up because there was actually a baby born in the aquarium at Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield. So I've been joking that the Johnny Morris prophecy has finally begun.
And I feel like we're going to have mangers on our boat docks for that baby. There's going to be like Jim Shockey and Michael Waddell and Bill Dance. They'll all be standing around it to be like the disciples of the outdoors.
Yes, the child that will unite us all. No longer will we talk about, no longer will we argue about CWD or Live Scope. It will be the chosen one to bring all outdoors men and women together and agree on our love and our passion.
That's crazy though. I read recently about somebody having a baby in a car. That made the old Facebook stories, but man, to have a baby at Wonders of Wildlife, think about the dude that drug his wife or significant other to the museum that day. You know, it probably wasn't her idea to go to Bass Pro Shop. And he's like, you're fine. We've got 10 more days. You're fine. Let's just go walk around the museum. And she gave birth.
If you've been there, no, that's not just a quick little jaunt. Like you can spend all day in there, like hours upon hours upon hours on your feet walking around. I kind of want to know where it was born because I have some favorites in the aquarium because you know it was the aquarium section. It wasn't the museum, but I really hope it was like in the jellyfish area because that's my favorite. Real psychedelic, pretty colors, all them jellyfish swimming around in the tanks. I think
that's the first thing the baby saw when it came into the world. It's probably better than being in a hospital room. This thing got born in the womb of nature.
Well, I don't know what's happening in Springfield either, because just a couple weeks earlier, there was a baby born in the Buc-ee's.
Oh, those two kids.
Welcome to Buc-ee's.
I feel Buc-ee's would be more prepared to have a child than the aquarium. I can only imagine.
Hurry, get the mom some beef jerky and brisket. They should, some university should sign both of those families right now to a contract to do a study of those two humans throughout their lifetime. The one born in Bass Pro Shop and the one born in Buc-ee's.
Well, yeah, at least at Buc-ee's, you could get it a day-old outfit. They have clothes of all ages there.
Man, if they name the kid Bucky.
That's where the license agreement comes in, yeah.
Because we were even joking, like, what would you name the baby that was born in Wonders of Wildlife? Do you have to have like Morris as a middle name or Johnny Morris as a middle name? You'd name him after him or name him after
Johnny's uncle was Uncle Buck.
Only in Missouri, baby.
Yes. If you're looking for gifts for them, you might want to think about some Uranus fudge.
Well, that's where the next one needs to be born, at the Uranus Fudge Factory in I-44.
Oh my God.
Ready. I just
want. Are you fishing up there, Paul?
I feel like this is where you hear the ricochet going.
Are you on the ice?
Yes, yeah, we're ice fishing this
Oh,
early ice season. This is that magic, when that ice first forms, everyone's watching and waiting and counting the inches. But yeah, we're out fishing. Ice is safe, ice is thick. Kind of the benefits of being this far north is we get that good ice production. It's magic time up here.
what is the season? Like, when will they go till?
So typical first ice, historical first ice is the first week in December. We'll start pulling houses out. We need 8 inches of ice before we'll start running our equipment on safely. That's our light ice rigs that we use, our heated transport trailers, our smaller 4-person fish houses. Those are all going 8 inches or more. So that first week of December, and then our whole season, ice season, we can keep houses out till March 31st of the following year. And then our walleye season up on the northern border waters up here is April 14th is the last day we can fish. And April 15th is that cutoff.
Now, when I was a kid, ice fishing meant grab a bucket, and we had a hand auger and a spoon to get the ice out. And we had these rods where you kind of like wound the line around these two knobs, and it went down. And ice fishing was just going out to try to get a couple bluegills, and we were freezing cold. I mean, it was not fun. So if anybody out there is thinking like that's what we're talking about, we're not. So Paul, tell them like what ice fishing is up there.
So we all kind of started off on that same basis, right? The bucket and the hand auger approach, but ice fishing has really come a long ways through the years. And up on Lake of the Woods, we make a profession out of it. And so what we do is we provide lodging. So you can stay either in our hotel location, our resort location with cabins, or out on the ice in one of our sleeper shacks, we call them. So typically it's so easy. Come up, the lodging is prepared, ready for your arrival. We set you up, we get you out fishing, depending on the number of days you choose to fish. Everything in the fish house is pre-drilled, preheated. We're providing bait, transportation to those fish houses, or leading you out to them later on in the year. And then fish cleaning is also included. So we do all the work, you come up and have all the fun.
Man, I love that. And I always enjoy telling my first ice fishing story because I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. Like we didn't see ice really in my area, the Goonies country. It just never got cold enough. If it snowed, because we're only like 50 feet above sea level. So if it snowed, like everything shut down. So there was no ice fishing where I grew up. But playing hoops in St. Paul, I had a buddy that grew up in Wisconsin. And one winter, he's like, "You want to go ice fishing?" And it's like what Brandon talked about, that the whole group of us, the basketball team, went down there and we step out on the ice. They're all natives. I'm the only foreigner. And you make the joke about the ping and the crack and the noise the ice makes when you're on top of it. I panicked. I freaked out. I'd never heard that before. I thought we were all falling in. So I Superman dive back onto the bank and like face plant in the snow, and I can hear it muffled laughter behind me. And I get up and they're like, "What are you doing? We're going to fall through." And it's like, no. It's like a foot high. We got plenty. That's just the sound it makes. But like Brandon said, we went out there just to sit on buckets, and it was so cold you couldn't even drink a Pabst Blue Ribbon. Like it was freezing to your lip. That's back when I chewed and I had a big old pinch of tobacco on my lip and trying to spit it out, and it was just freezing in my face. And we laughed because we all made an agreement. We're all big guys, like everything from 6'11" to like 6'5", that whoever got to the flag setup, the pop-up setup first, could reel in the fish. So we drilled all these holes, this big giant circle. All these things are set. And it was just a race. Anytime you saw one of those flags pop up, we're elbowing, we're shoving. People are like sliding past the hole to try to grab it. It was full contact fishing out there. And man, it was some real fun memories. But I remember leaving that day going, I never want to do that again, until I got introduced to what you're talking about, kind of like the grumpy old men setup of these really comfortable shacks that you sit in, and it's all heated. And like you're just sitting in there like, and with a t-shirt and jeans and just jig fishing or doing whatever you do. I love that idea. I want to come back and try.
We'd like to say that the winters up here are remarkably mild. I think it was 2 years ago, we were taping a TV show with Greg Jones and Midwest Outdoors, and I was sitting in the fish house in my little corner fishing, wearing a Hawaiian button-down shirt, just hooking walleyes, reeling them in, talking fishing, talking ice fishing. But for that reason, you're going from heated cabin, right? The cabins are warm, very comfortable. The lodge is warm, very comfortable. You're getting into transportation, either yours or ours, that's also heated and ready to go. You're getting out of that vehicle and you're stepping right into that heated pre-drilled fish house. So, I mean, you're not spending a lot of time out in those elements. I look at this tip up right behind me here. The best picture I think would be is if you had like 5 guys chasing after that flag, right, Shags? You've done it. It's like football. You can do that at certain times of year for giant pike in March. The majority of the winter up here in northern Minnesota is cold. And we need that cold to get 30, 40 inches of ice to get through the entire season.
Now, before I forget, I want to give you a shout out, you and your wife, for the award that you received at the AGLOW conference. So AGLOW, Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Riders, we're all members. I'm a past president. In fact, I had my president's reception up there on Lake of the Woods. That was my president year, 2017. What a great place to do that. But you guys won essentially for your longtime commitment and dedication to the organization. You just mentioned Midwest Outdoors. I grew up on Midwest Outdoors. Like, one of the things I'm most proud of, I think, in my history of outdoor riding is seeing my name as a senior contributor there, because I still have stacks of them that my grandfather bound together with string in like 1986, 1987. I've moved them like box by box, as I've moved. I won't let go of them because they've got his address label on them and everything. So yeah, like, you've always worked with the media. You're doing this tonight. You understand the importance of working with the outdoor riders and the media. And I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Brandon. The award that we were presented this year was the organizational award, the Golden Glow for organization from the AGLOW Association. If I remember correctly, it's voted on, nominated by a past president, which was Trent Marsh, and then it's all you past presidents that vote on that. So thank you, Brandon. Appreciate the love. And we are committed. 2017 magic year, that was your president's reception, and that was the first year we joined AGLOW, and we've just been hardcore fans of it, involved. I sit on the board now, and it's a great organization. It's a big giant ball of synergy with everything outdoors, fishing, hunting, riding, content, everything. And that's got to keep going. Otherwise, how do we deliver the fun that we're all having, right? And the experience and the memories that we get to share.
So I joined in 2008, and I can tell you it's changed dramatically since then, which doesn't sound like that long ago. I tell people, when we got into the outdoor industry, me and this group of guys that I was running with pretty hard back then, it was like coming into a bar just as they start to play the song Closing Time, and everybody is just at their worst. Like, they're partying pretty hard, and then they flip the lights on, and it's like, all right, everybody out, and you kind of saw this dip. CEOPA didn't survive. That was the Southeastern Outdoor Press Association. OWAA had to completely change more into kind of a non-consumptive group, which is great in its own way. AGLOW adapted. AGLOW was quick to go with podcasters and bloggers and really the new forms of communication. So I'm proud to see the organization continuing to grow and thrive, and our friends out there that are interested in becoming outdoor communicators, who are already doing a podcast, maybe writing a blog. I'm thinking Michael Collins. He just shared his new website with us today. He's writing, and he was so excited to publish that article on our website. And if anybody's wondering, yes, he's an unpaid pro staffer. So that's where it's kind of gone. We all have jobs. We're all doing this because we love it, and we make a little scratch. We have relationships with people like Paul. So if you're interested, check out AGLOW. If there's a path forward for you, if you want to be in outdoor communication somehow, or if you have a product or a resort, a destination that you need outdoor writers to help you share information about, it's good for that as well. So a little shout out to AGLOW.
And I am kind of curious, Paul, how about you tell us your origin story? How did you become the owner of Riverbend Resort?
So where to start? It's like Jim Carrey is pulled over and liar. Okay. Well, I was born into the resort industry. My grandparents owned a mom and pop resort on Rush Lake in Otter Tail County, Minnesota. 1,000 lakes in that one county, had 10% of all the lakes in the state. So very blessed to grow up and meet new people. I fell in love with it. I loved it. I got to watch my grandparents and help them out, and they seem to always be smiling. So I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I was 18 when they sold it, wasn't old enough. They said, you don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Went off and did a few other things. Had the opportunity to manage another resort in Perm, Minnesota, not too far away from where I grew up, but went to school, graduated there. So Brandi and I took that opportunity to manage that property, went out and guided out in Colorado for a few years in the off season, and then came back and had a chance to move up to Lake of the Woods to manage another resort. And that's what got us up here. We saw an opportunity to purchase a resort up here, and my dad and uncle and I, we all jumped in, got into it. Since ownership structures changed a little bit, my uncle and I are still a part of it, but as things go on, he's ready to move on as well. So we'll be looking at doing sole ownership of the resort here in a very short period. So the rest is history.
And that, kids, is how it's done. You don't just wake up tomorrow, unless you're born wealthy. Most of us aren't. Like, you just heard a success story of a guy who's about to own the resort by himself. But it took a while, and it took a lot of hard work, and it reflects in everything you do, man. Like, I've been to your resort, I've eaten there. You hired Brian Smith.
We all have temporary lapses in judgment.
Yeah.
Not every decision can be a
Love
home
you,
run.
Brian. Love you.
No, but shout out to Brian, another great aglow guy. I mean, those are the kind of relationships you carry through life. And but yeah, just it's awesome to see, man. Like, we're getting to that age where our friends are starting to be in these positions, and the ones that earned it, you just have so much respect for them.
Well, and we
Yeah.
built a career talking, my big saying is building relationships. You can shake someone's hand and take the $5 bill out of their other hand and say, thank you, have a great day. Or you can shake their hand and talk to them and get to know their history and their past and why they love fishing so much. And, how long have they been coming up here and where did they get their passion of fishing from, and meet the kids that, they're bringing up for the first time, introducing them to what Brandi and I have made a career out of, and that's delivering great experiences through the outdoor activity of fishing. And then you get Lake of the Woods that's got hunting and fishing and hiking and so many other options. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a lot of fun.
I want to make sure people know he's saying Brandi, not Brandon.
Brandi.
I have no ownership stake in Riverbend Resort. So
Brandi with an I.
She'd be the missus.
So do you find yourself doing more like operation stuff at the resort, or are you still getting out on the water and guiding?
So for the first 10 years that we were at Riverbend, I had my captain's license. I was running and gunning. I would get up, we'd make breakfast in the morning for everybody. I'd take them out fishing all day. We'd come back and cook dinner for them. And then, when we first were rocking and rolling, we were doing the bartending until close, and we would do every other night and just running and gunning. And after about 10 years of guiding and doing all that, I said, I need to step back from guiding full time, and I took more of the administrative day-to-day operations. A resort like ours with all the cabins and the bar restaurants and the hotel, the Walleye Inn. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and I got to be paying more attention to that now. I'd like to be out fishing. Ice, I get out more in the ice season than the summer, but not as much fishing as I'd like.
They say don't make your passion your job.
Buy a resort, right? You'll fish all the time. That's my sales pitch. Someday when that day comes, oh yeah, buy a resort. You can fish whenever you want. But the reality is you look outside and you watch everybody enjoying the beautiful fishery of the Rainy River and Lake of the Woods. And you just got to learn to prioritize. I have to learn to prioritize a little better. That's all.
Yeah.
It's right there. You can go stand on the dock and take a phone call. Jiggle if you want to.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I've had that dream. I mean, Brandon and I have even talked about campgrounds and like doing a resort or something like that. And it's more of a, for me, it's more of a fun daydream because of what you're talking about. Because when you start really thinking about the nitty gritty, it's like, dude, that you don't get days off. That is your livelihood. You are in charge of everything. And I think I'd rather just come up and stay and fish for a little bit and tell you how good a job you're doing.
We're still kicking. We're still smiling. We always say when the bad days outweigh the good days, then we need to start reconsidering what we're doing. It is a lifestyle. It's one that we've enjoyed. we find that passion. God gives us that strength every day to go do what we need to do, right? And we found a way to make a profession doing the things that we still enjoy doing. They have days. I'm not going to say that it's a beautiful life every single day, let's be honest, but the good still outweigh the bad, and we're going to keep trucking. Loving it.
So when we were up there ice fishing the first time, that was the first time I ever drove on the ice. And I'll tell you, that's a weird feeling, man, when you hit the boat ramp and your GPS, like on the screen of the truck you're in, just like shows you driving on a lake and you're getting further and further and further from shore. And these guys do it every day, you know, so to them it's nothing. But to me, I mean, there's a few things that I'm not comfortable with. People know sharks. I don't like being on the ice that much either. But then you come to realize that you're safe and that you get out in those ice houses. And like you said, it's like you're in a little cabin. You got a heater going. We did live scoping for the first time last year, and I was on Devil's Lake, but that's been a game changer for ice fishing too. I mean, the technology, it's come so far, as you said. I mean, talk about for a guy that's never been ice fishing, like what could he, if he wanted to, he's like, man, this sounds great. I've never been ice fishing. I want to go up there and do it. What versus the guy that's like ice fished quite a bit, but wants to come up there and doesn't need his handheld as much.
Oh, that's a great point, Brandon. And we're seeing a lot more of people getting into the ice fishing spectrum of ice fishing. Like, it's a fun, amazing sport. So we do all the work so you don't have to, kind of that scrubbing bubbles approach, right? And we have it structured so the lodging and fishing, that part's easy. You tell us how long you want to come up here and you want to stay and how many days you want to fish. So if you don't have any gear, not a problem. We have gear available. Used to be the old jiggle sticks, like you were explaining earlier, where you're winding the line up on the 2 pegs. Brandon, wasn't that you talking about that, your first ice experience?
Oh, jiggle stick. I've never heard. That sounds like something else, but okay.
That's what we used to call it. That's what you used to get when you go fishing. So now we have like beginner packages. It's got the rod reel combos. It's got the little tackle box. It's got a flasher. We call it the combo pack. So you just let us know that you don't have any equipment. This is your first time into the ice fishing industry, and we're going to make sure you get lined up with all that equipment. And then our guides, when you go fishing, our guides are going to stop in there, at least twice a day to check on you, make sure you got good bait, answer any questions that you have. And if you've never fished before, they're going to spend that little bit of extra time showing you how to read the Hummingbird flasher, or if you prefer 2D, we run the Helix 5s for our rentals for flashers, and it gives 2 different perspectives. So they're going to show you how you can run those, where to find the fish, where your lure is, lead that fish to your lure, get the first hook set, and then they'll come back and check on you and see if you learn the process well enough to throw some fish in a bucket. So the guides are with you. If you've never fished before, they're stopping in to check on you, spending a little bit extra time to show you all the tricks and the secrets to be successful, have a positive experience. If you've ice fished your entire life, you know what you're doing, perfect. Pick your nights of lodging, pick the number of days you want to fish, add the meal plan so you don't have to cook, and bring all your rods, reels, tackle, all your gear, your favorite cushions, whatever it is that you love to fish with, makes you comfortable. And then your technology that you choose, whether it be a flash or whether it be a live scope, everyone's got their preference. If you're an avid ice fishing individual, bring it up. Plenty of room in the houses to set all that up and have a comfortable and successful fishing.
I'm kind of curious because I get the idea of live scope when you're out in the open water, and if you're not really seeing anything, you're moving, you're searching, you're kind of hunting for those big fish. But when you're just stuck over a hole in the ice and you're not really going anywhere, I feel like live scope would kind of be like a bummer at times if you just happen not to have a lot of fish around you. Just kind of like, oh man, I don't know if I'd want to know. I'd rather just stare at a hole than stare at a
you and
we've
used it with Chris Nelson on crappie. We've used it on paddlefish, which is probably going to become illegal. That just changed the paddlefish game completely. I'm hearing rumblings of that now.
Oh, at least one more season. Well, don't do it.
One more.
Well, I saw Sarah Parker Pauly catch one about as big as her without live scope. So if she can do it, there's hope that you can do it. But with ice fishing, it is what you're saying. I mean, you're looking down on one spot and the fish will come in there. The ones that piss you off are the ones that just lay right down on the bottom, and then they just, you can still see them, but they won't move. And you can just dangle it right in front of them. But when they come up for it, it makes it worth it. Like the dead time is like, man, there's nothing down there, but it's kind of like watching anything. It's like watching a field for a buck. 95% of the time there's no buck. But then when it shows up, your heart just goes out of your chest. And it's the same thing watching those fish come. It's totally different fishing. I mean, I love and hate it at the same time.
Electronics, definitely changed the perspective of fishing. Like anything, improvements can be great. It changes our view. It changes our vision. What would you prefer? Would you like to see a screen lit up with all sorts of fish that aren't biting your lure? Or would you rather not see the fish that are coming up and grabbing it or not grabbing your lure or bait? It's changing. I understand the perspective in a harmful way. I get that approach, that angle. I'm not for or against. I think it's great. I think technology is amazing. If I had to lean one direction, I would say it's for, because again, with live scope and just even the flashers, when that green box came out, and people could pick off fish, and evolution of the Vexflies and the hummingbirds and the Markhams and the flashers out there, to see that fish up and down, that latitude move, that up and down movement, parallel movement there, changed the game, right? Remember that? Like, look at these fish. My jig's right there. It's going to bite. I got a fish. And now you watch the fish swim, and it comes up and it looks and it swims left and it swims right, up and down, and it's all over the place. Could you imagine being 12, 15, 17 years old, watching that happen back when we were younger ice fishing? What would that do for you in your whole perspective of fishing, going forward? Me, it would make me super excited. Like, I'm addicted. I'm addicted. When you get in front of that screen, all you want to do is just sit and watch that fish. What's he going to do? Like, you're seeing these fish do something that you've never been able to see them do before. And it's just mesmerizing. And I think it's great. It keeps the younger generation of fisher kids entertained and active, and it gives them something to look at. They're learning a little bit about biology and feeding patterns and pressures. And I think it's great. I call it a tool. If you catch more fish using it, great.
That's part of what I'm saying about adaptation as well. I've had this conversation with my dad a number of times. My dad never had to parent against a screen, and I had to parent against a screen by the time my kids were 10. So our generation just falls on that break line. We are the last generation of bicycle gangs, and you found everybody by where the bikes were piled up in a yard. All that's gone. So the way my parents parented is completely different than how I've had to parent and how my children will have to parent. There was just a major technological divide between those generations. So I feel like you hear the old people all the time, really harping on the technology. Are you hearing that, Shags?
Yeah, we got a little bit of an echo coming from Paul's side.
It just started.
Yeah, we should be good. I should be able to clear it up in post.
Okay. So I really feel like it's the older people, my father's generation and even the generation before him, that continue to really harp on technology being involved in the outdoors. But if you're raising kids today, if you want to turn your kids off from fishing, if you want to turn your kids off from hunting, don't let them bring their phone. Tell them they can't bring it, because that's just going to make them not want to go. You got to integrate the technology in a way that makes it not all consuming, but available. I mean, when I'm in the woods now, I use OnX constantly. We use our phone. I use my phone as a flashlight to go to my tree stand.
I was watching the Chiefs game in my tree stand.
That's right.
We're going to have an issue.
So times have changed. To parents out there that are like, they just want to take their phones into the blind, let them. They're still in the blind. Everything they do in their life is going to involve that technology. So we're going forwards. We're not going backwards. So I'm with you, Paul. I'm for it. I do feel, though, a hinge of sadness from what used to be. I can liken that to trail cameras. Even just before there were trail cameras, you had to lay eyes on a buck to know he lived. And you didn't hunt like one buck. You had that element of surprise. It was sort of the same way with fishing. You were a good fisherman because you knew fish related to that structure. You fished that tree in the water, you fished those rocks, or you found a drop off by fishing your way down, and that's gone. But we can't go back. We got to embrace it. We just have to do it in a way that makes it part of it, not overbearing.
Yeah,
and
agree with you on that.
Sorry.
Oh, you're all right. We'll talk about a little bit about the community up there, because I mean, I've been a couple of times. I got a pretty cool deal with Ballard's Resort, who's your neighbor apparently. So next time I'm up there in August, I'll stop by and say hi to you. But you were talking about like you guys are like right next door to one another, and Baudette is a pretty small little town, but you have quite the community right there on the Rainy River. So kind of give us the breakdown on just all the places, and are you similar packages, kind of like Ballard's does, like all inclusive? I heard you talking about meal plans and stuff, so you must have some deals where you can either buy individual meals or have like a set plan.
Yeah, yep. Just go in reverse order. We're very similar in the sense of, we are all sharing that same experience with people that come up and want to stay and visit with us. The fishing on Lake of the Woods. That's the experience that we're all just promoting everyone to come up and share with us up here in northern Minnesota. If you're not familiar with our location, it's that top chimney, that tippy top part of Minnesota is Lake of the Woods. And the majority of that with the northwest angle, that little exclave piece of land up there, the rest of that chimney is all water. And so we're all sharing on the experience of this great fishery up here. So Ballard's is right next door. Yep, we're right in line on the Rainy River. There's quite a few just in this stretch, but I think Joe Henry, and if I get this wrong, I'm sorry, Joe, is either 56 or 64 lodging facilities in Lake of the Woods County. So community, you're right, Shags. That's exactly what we are and have to be to survive up here. Ballard's locale right next door. And I was joking with you when we were talking earlier, depending on which way the wind's blowing, either we're raking their leaves or they're raking ours in the fall. We're right next door. So just, hop over. A lot of people that do come up and stay at different resorts will walk what we call the strip. And that's all the resorts along the Rainy River. You can walk right along the top of the bank and you can go check out all the different establishments, and each one has a bar and each one has a restaurant. So you can go check out the scene, make new friends, interact, and just get a change of scenery a few 100 yards down every time.
So if I'm on Ballard's deck looking at the Rainy River, are you guys on the left or the right?
We're going to be on the left of you, which is going to be downriver.
Yep.
So Ballard's is right next door, but you're so close to Canada, you could probably shoot a deer with a rifle off your docks in Canada.
You could throw a rock and hit Canada.
I think I could use maybe a 4-iron and hit a ball.
So Lake of the Woods is divided with the international border. So you touched on a couple things. I want to go back to the northwest angle. I'm not going to give you two questions at once. I'm going to give you one. Explain the northwest angle real quick.
So the northwest angle was a marking here when they were surveying the United States. They thought Lake of the Woods was the start of the Mississippi River. So there was a little bit of a marker shift, just a little jump up to the 49th parallel. Now you're really calling out my geography lessons here. We got that, and it's called an exclave because the only way to get there is by boat through the water. So you either go all the way up, not leaving the United States. It's called an exclave because you actually have to leave the country. So you leave the United States, you drive into Canada, and then you got to go through Canada and get checked back into the United States to access that by land. So you're leaving one country, going to another country to get back to your country. I mean, that's a whole other podcast, which if you want to know the rich history of Northwest Angle, Joe Henry, great. He knows a few other people, but it's pretty neat. What a piece of property.
I want to come up and visit it. I want to go up there and fish. I've heard stories about the fishery up there. Supposedly the yellow perch is pretty good up by the Northwest Angle, and everyone knows that's what I'm after. Do you have a place up there, or did you have a place up there?
We were more over towards Sioux Narrows on the Canadian side. Northeast side. Cyrus Resort has a resort, Flag Island, Cyrus Resort, Cyrus Flag Island. Greg Henham, who used to own Sportsman's Lodge on the Rainy River, which is on the other side of Ballard's, still owns Oak Island, Sportsman's Oak Island Resort. up there. So there's some South Shore ties to some island resorts up there.
Well, I remember Brian Smith telling me about a resort. Maybe you guys were thinking about buying it, or something was going on with an island resort, and he was talking
That
about
was on the Canadian side. And then
yeah, he's
COVID
talking about
hit,
bringing
shut the-
some of us up to fish. So if anybody's ever been down to Key West and stood next to the marker that says you're at the southernmost point in the United States, everybody's seen pictures of that. Well, the northern one is on the northwest angle. So if you've been to the southern one, you might as well go to the northwest angle and get your Insta post next to that one as well.
They're doing some destination trips. Like, I mean, even there's a transport service on the south end of the lake where we're located that will boat you up to access that. Give you a little lake tour. You stop there at Young's Bay, you get out and you get your picture taken. So then you can either go down to the Key West one, or maybe that's your last one to get and complete that little buoy tour.
And Joe Henry, you mentioned him. I wanted you to say he runs the association. So what Shags is talking about, how these resorts all kind of operate as a community. It is so cool. And Joe's so good at that. He really does a great job of representing the area, except he did one thing, man, that it's just a no-no. When you're the guy hosting, you're not supposed to take people out to an ice house and show them how to ice fish and catch a 32-inch walleye through the ice in front of them and then leave us there to like get skunked the rest of the day. For a pro like Joe, should have known better than to catch that 14-pound walleye right in front of us that I think has graced quite a few tourism covers since then.
Yeah, and I know he does a few different updates and fishing reports every week, and that walleye that you're talking of, that exact walleye, sits right behind him in all of his podcasts.
I think it might have been Jim Zaleski.
Tom Watson, he just shared the story at the last Glow conference.
Tom Watson's another guy we got to get on the podcast soon. Tom's a great guy. Yeah, Sportsman's, that's actually where my conference was. And then Zipple Bay is where we went out to that's where I had my president's reception. And we went out to the Igloo Bar, which that's crazy.
That's a really cool, unique. If you're up here, try to make that trip over there. It's not too far down the road. You go to Zipple Bay Resort, stop in, say hi to the crew there, get the directions to go out to the Igloo Bar. And it is an igloo that is out on the ice. It's awesome. Heated porta potties. You can get a drink. You can order some food. And then there's holes cut in the floor. And you can fish right at your table that you're sitting at. So, like, bring your own bait or buy some bait. Bring your own rod. Drink your cocktail, your Diet Coke, your beer. Be jigging along. And they have a bread board that has the biggest fish, in each species, walleye, northern pike, perch, crappie, whatever it is that's been caught, they have the biggest that's caught. And I mean, they're getting 28, 29-inch walleyes. They're getting over 40-inch pike out of these holes at your table in a bar. I don't know how else to do it.
I caught a fish in there. So they've got kind of just like a spool of line above the holes too. And you can just like drop a bait down on that. You don't have to have a rod. So we were all sitting at the table and my hole went off and I just grabbed the line and pulled it up. It was just a little walleye, but caught a fish in a bar. That's a once in a lifetime for me.
That sounds awesome.
Can you imagine, not to give our idea away, now I'm going to say this out loud and there'll probably be 4 of them next year, but why doesn't Lake of the Ozarks have that? Why doesn't one of these big lakes, think about it. If you had one of those floating restaurant bars and they just drilled holes in the floor and went underneath there and stocked it with brush every year, put new fresh cedar trees down there and just have the crappies in there and sit in there and order fish and watch games and catch fish out of a hole. So whoever steals the idea and opens it, like, you better have Driftwood Outdoors or a Brandon and Shags menu item or something for us.
Just a stool or something like that.
Yeah, picture of us behind the bar.
A bronze statue out front.
Brandon and Shags holding up a fish and a beer or something.
Think about the fish house down there in Branson. If it wasn't like a fancy Bass Pro restaurant, and somebody just bought it as a restaurant and drilled holes in the floor and you could sit there and catch trout while you eat trout, that'd be awesome.
I mean, I don't ever head down there in the winter. Does the Lake of the Ozark completely freeze over?
It very rarely. I flew over it one time when it was frozen. Man, that was beautiful to see, but I don't think it happens every winter.
Yeah.
Parts of the backs of coves and stuff like that will, but the main body, no. But certainly not Taneycomo. That's where, like, it should be right there on the Branson Landing.
I guess you could do that. It doesn't have to be a frozen lake. You could definitely just have a restaurant with a nice outcropping dock or something like that, where you could just fish in
There you go.
in the bar.
The Driftwood Outdoors Fish House coming to you on Lake Taneycomo.
We got a resort. Let's go down there. Let's go down there and open it up.
It's easy, right, Paul? We'll just go.
You got it.
So I am kind of curious, a little inside baseball down there, because when we were going out to Lake of the Woods off the Rainy River, I was told that there were, and you can kind of see it, there's like one resort kind of on the peninsula towards the mouth that's got a house with a tree growing out of it, right? Is that your guys's, or is that somebody else's?
True story. Adrian's Resort, which is on the other side of us on the strip here.
Okay.
They have Wheeler's Point, the actual point itself where the marker and everything is. They have 3 cabins out there, and the last cabin on the point has an oak tree growing through the cabin.
Yes.
They've structured the cabin. They've done, whatever they could to ensure that this tree continues to grow in this cabin.
So you can actually stay in it? I didn't get that part. They just made it sound like the tree just decided, sorry about your cabin, but I'm growing here. I didn't realize you could still rent the place. That'd be super cool.
We have some really long time friends from Lincoln, Nebraska, and they used to come up to the Rainy River in the fall and fish the fall migration, where all them walleyes are funneling right past all our docks up the Rainy River. And they always stayed at the point in that cabin.
Hey, you touched on something there that I wanted to ask you. Looking back, as a kid, my passion, like, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for my grandparents taking me to Wisconsin and Minnesota. That's where my passion for the outdoors. So it was Lake Osakis for them in Minnesota, kind of right in the center of the state. Lakeshore Resort. I still have a picture from, the late 80s or very early 90s of my grandpa's car, which ended up becoming my first car, in front of the cabin that they rented every year. This man worked 51 weeks a year so he could go to Minnesota for one and fish. That was it. And I think back on how much that meant to them and how he knew everybody by name. And, these were his friends. Like, these are the guide he used one day every year, the resort owners. You have had to have built just some wonderful relationships. Maybe talk about that side of the business and how you see, what you are doing as a gateway to the outdoors, influencing families, and just how special all that. And then the return customers. And if you wanted to shout out a couple customers, that whole side of it.
Man, that's a story that I don't think it's told enough in the hospitality industry, and specifically like the resort industry like we're in, and growing up in it, watching, and you being a part of that experience. And Shags, anywhere you traveled, you remember those times. Those are your memories. And so we fell in love with it at young ages and wanted to continue that and share that same opportunity with everybody. And some of our best friends that we have now, we've met in this industry. They were first-time customers. They came up, they just had a great time. How does a relationship begin with a, hi, my name is Paul, and hi, my name is Bubba.
Bucky.
Hi, my name is Randy. Hi, I'm Paul. We start having conversation. Fishing is always that catalyst. I guided out in Colorado for a couple years, and it is that catalyst. And when you share that passion with other people, you learn a lot about them, and then you find out, hey, we have a lot in common. We've met some great people. We've had guests that have been coming to this resort before it was even Riverbend Resort. So their traditions started before we were even here, like the Gerhardt group. They were here when the resort was Gerhardt's Resort. And, it was a completely different name, completely different structures. And that's their traditions. And they still do that. They come up, they rent the whole RV park, and they pile the whole family in, and they go fishing. Like that's their tradition. And that's something that, needs to be, I think, covered more and talked about more, is the traditions and how they affect us in our lives and the things we do and the decisions that we make. To be a part of still offering some of these older traditions, these older styles, incorporating new technology, but still the pastimes of fishing or hunting or whatever it may be. Those should be cherished and they should be protected. If there's anything that I can do, is encourage everyone to at least try it. If you haven't, try it. And then understand it takes a lot. It takes a a small village to get a production like Riverbend Resort going. And we have a great crew. I can't say thank you to our crew enough because they too get to see the great sides and the fun sides of everyone that comes up to visit us, making sure every experience ends a positive, memorable experience. So a lot of work and a lot of love is what makes a resort in northern Minnesota successful.
So how many people can you have on site? Because you mentioned an RV park, a hotel, cabins. How big's your place?
So the resort we have, it's a 5-acre property at the resort. In the summertime, we have an RV area. We have some seasonal spots. We have some year-round spots that are available on there. We have 15 rentable cabins that we rent out at the resort, full bar restaurant, breakfast, lunch, dinner, year-round. We do summertime open water fishing. We get in on the spring migration, fall migration up the Rainy River. And then the sleepers we talked about, we have those sleepers available where you're staying out on the ice. During the wintertime, you can sleep right in that fish house. You're going to sleep with the fish. You're waking up with the fish. You're under the stars. You're on the ice. People love it. We get a lot of reservations through the winter just in those sleeper houses. And then we have a hotel location, the Walleye Inn, one of a kind. No other Walleye Inn in the world that I'm aware of, but that's just a 39-room hotel in the city of Badette. Again, just an additional lodging opportunity when you're coming up to the area. You can, if you stay there, you can utilize all the resources and amenities we have at the resort. That's a really great location if you're a diehard fisherman in the spring and the fall. As the river is thawing in, end of March, beginning of April, and you want to get on that late season walleye sturgeon fishing in the river, the Walleye Inn's a great spot. If you're heading to Canada and you want to spend the last night before you jump in, stay at the Walleye Inn. So many different lodging opportunities for you up here on Lake of the Woods Riverbend Resort.
Do you do trips on the Canadian side as well? Do you have any?
We work with guys, local guys that are set up and licensed to take those trips. Yeah.
All right, 2 more things that we got to talk about. We're running out of time.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah, I'm really excited about ice fishing. Clam just sent me a suit. I'm going to have colors now. Like I'm on a team. Scott McInthune and Pat, convinced me so I'm actually going to go back to Devil's Lake. I've gotten invited on this trip 2 years in a row. I want to come up there and fish with you so much. It's always fun for me to take something that I've done kind of a little and take it to the next level. And I want to, ice fishing is still available in that. So I kind of want to get into it, It's hard here in central Missouri, but I want ice fishing to become more of a thing. So people should really look into that. Open water fishing, though, that's the bread and butter. I mean, we haven't really touched on that, but also hunting. I want you to end kind of on the bread and butter. What's it like in the summer, spring, fall? You graciously allowed me to interview you for one of my Game and Fish magazine rut reports this year. So you do get out once in a while. You killed a nice buck. I've killed rough grouse up there. In fact, my 50 and 50 story from Minnesota is going to be Lake of the Woods rough grouse. It's a sportsman's paradise. Touch a little bit on the hunting and then, the 3 seasons of fishing.
So hunting is definitely an added bonus or a value added amenity. Depends on how you look at it. Northern Minnesota is full of a lot of state and county public land, and it's great bogland, hunting, timbers, a lot of popples and birch, different aspens and oaks. And so we have a great population of rough grouse. There's spruce grouse up here. There's sharp-tailed grouse as well. So 3 different species of grouse all live in different types of terrains that you can hunt public land on and be successful killing grouse. Deer hunting, same thing. A lot of public land. There's a lot of ag around on the edges. So, great cover for them to bed in and feed through on their way to those ag fields. Deer season, during the fall, whether you like to bow hunt, rifle hunt, muzzleload, all an option as well. I did have a chance, Brandon. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. My rifle season was 6 minutes long, opening morning rifle, sitting in the stand, super excited, just counting my blessings. I look up and I see this guy and I'm like, do I want to be done this early? And I made the decision. Got a couple other things I wanted to get done before season got here. So 6 minutes was my deer season, which was awesome. It was amazing. It was a fun buck. And then the fishing, the fishing is always, there's some times a year, like the November time when we're waiting for the ice to get thick enough. You don't want to be venturing out there if there's thin ice, so stay away then. But you could time it in October. You're You come up to late September, October, you come up, you fish the Rainy River in the walleye migration, chasing the shiners, get your limit, go out, shoot a bunch of grouse out in the field, or get up in the morning, go shoot grouse, go out in the afternoon, get the evening bite. Whatever it is you want to do while you're up here, if it's 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, however long. Honestly, if you're thinking of moving up here, it's a great place to live. I mean, if you're looking for a change, throwing a little workforce plug for the area. If you want to live or hunt and fish and do it all, great opportunity to live as well. So it's beautiful country up here. We've been very blessed, and thanks, Brandon.
Thank you. Fish. Talk about fishing up there in the spring, summer, fall, like not just the hunting, but.
So we're in our ice season now, and this will go until middle of March, end of March. River starts to thaw. We'll transition into that spring, open water. Late ice, big pike. So late ice, the pikes are moving up into shallow water. So that's when everyone's using chip ups and they're chasing big pike, shallow water bays and feeder creeks. Then the Rainy River's opening up. People are dropping their boats in. It's one of the first areas in the northern part of the state where there's open water. Chase sturgeon, catch walleyes, bass, pike. They're all moving up the river, getting ready to do their spring spawning. And so they're moving in. Walleye, done April 15th. Sturgeon picks up. Opener hits middle of May. We're fishing in the river, spraying out into the lake throughout the summer, using our charter boats, 27-foot charter boats to go chase some big walleyes, or small boat guides if they want to do the Canadian side, or just a smaller group that wants to go out and target some big walleyes with some live scope. Those small boat guide options are great for that trophy hunting. And then fall, those walleyes, saugers come right back, funneling right up the Rainy River again. We're chasing them in that fall bite, waiting for the water to freeze, and then back out into the lake in the winter season. So we get this in and out binge and purge of walleyes and saugers twice a year up the Rainy River and back out into the lake. So pretty magical fishery.
It is.
It's a sight to see when you got on one of them charter boats and everyone's coming out around the same time and there's just a line and everyone's headed down the river, kind of cruising and then going full bore when they hit the lake and everyone's going off their own direction. It's a pretty cool experience to be a part of because it's not just one or two. It's like all the resorts kind of file out around the exact same time. And it's like, all right, here we go, man. It just gets you jazzed. I'm excited just thinking about it.
You crushed the fish up this year.
We caught a bunch of fish, but this was the year we were catching some real nice slot fish, what we were called picture fish. And yeah, I sent the dimensions actually down this week to Scenic Rivers. Going to have the Scenic River taxidermy guys do a replica of Savannah's that she caught, the 27-inch walleye, the biggest one that happened in our boat. We had one lady on our trip in a different boat almost hit the 30 mark. It was 29 and a quarter, but she decided to do a real life mount. So they were like, we're coming back next year because it's at the taxidermy and we got to pick it up. She'll be back on the bus in August to get her taxidermy mount and be out there fishing again. And I can't wait to get up there, not only to fish, but now to swing by River Bend and have a beer with Paul and shoot the shit for a while. So I'm really excited.
Maybe I'll be staying over at River Bend when you're up at Ballard's.
You should, man. That'd be a lot of fun. First week in August.
We'll come over and say hi to you, Shags.
Yeah, it's always the first week in August.
I'm finishing up this 50 and 50 by 50 thing, Paul. Like I'm leaving this Friday to hit West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia. It's like, on one hand, it's kind of scary because finishing it means I'm turning 50. But on the other hand, I can't wait to have my time back to go to the places that I love the most. And Lake of the Woods is certainly on that list. I mean, I've loved everywhere that I've been. Every place has been special. But let's be honest, some places stand out. Lake of the Woods is 100% a top destination that I've ever been to.
And Brandon
Great.
refuses.
I can't wait to get back up here.
Brandon refuses to pay to go fishing with me.
He wants to fish for free, and I got to pay. Like, I'll be over with you, buddy.
All right. Well, we're coming into the podcast here. What you see here, Paul, is an actual antique bait bucket. We got it at the Midwest Antique Mall, and we like to wrap up a podcast with what we call the mystery bait bucket question. It's submitted by you, the listeners of this podcast. And sometimes it has to do with the outdoors. A lot of times it doesn't. It's just a fun way to wrap things up. So if you do have a question, you can email us at info@driftwoodoutdoors.com, or you can send us a direct message on Facebook or Instagram, Driftwood Outdoors, or also just leave a comment on our YouTube channel, Driftwood Outdoors TV. This one comes from Brian Anderson. What is something you wish more people understood about your work?
Oh man, there's so much. For me, I work with service dogs. I'm the CEO, so I don't get to actually train them or do much work with the dogs, but that gives me the perspective of the public, and I get to see how the public interacts with service dogs. So we need to do a better job as an industry, and we need to do a better job as a, I guess, mental health care and healthcare community, educating people about service dogs and the fact that they're working. They're not pets. These dogs are in service. They're working. If you see a dog in a vest, don't run up to it and start petting it. Don't distract it from its job. Think if you were trying to do your job and somebody started scratching you behind the ears, you'd be pretty distracted. The dogs are too. They're beautiful and wonderful, and you want to pet them, and you're even more endeared to them because of what they're doing, but you can't. So they're working. Appreciate the fact they're providing a service. Don't approach people with a service dog. They have a service dog for a reason. Just, I wish the public people need to know, though, you don't run up to service dogs and start petting them or mauling them or any of that stuff.
Well, for mine, it would probably have to be with the radio DJ. People always just think it's easy. Like I just go in there and wing it. I'm actually the laziest, hardworking person you'll ever meet. There's a lot that goes into doing a radio show. But even with this podcast, people think, oh, it's just a podcast. You're just recording. But Brandon, you know, the stress of just trying to find a guest every week and the back end of editing all of it and getting it uploaded. The idea of being content creators is a huge pain. It's a lot of work. And it's the same with doing a radio program too. I've always enjoyed people going, well, I got things to say. I go, all right, tell me one. Well, you know, things that doesn't work. Tell me what you're going to say. And then they can't. So that's the biggest misconception about doing a morning radio show is being able to do 4 hours and be compelling and be entertaining and have good content is not, we're just not winging it. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. How about you, Paul, and the business?
Great point. You know, the behind the scenes is what a lot of people don't understand. And in the fishing hospitality industry, it's like production. You know, you see the show when you're guests and you come up, you see the show. And so the behind the scenes work is always fun. It's always interesting. You're trying to find the balance of everyone to get along to work to get a production successful each and every time somebody comes up. And, you know, the weather, you know, there's two things that we can't control in our industry, and that's fishing and the weather. But everything else that we do have control over, that's what we try to do our best on. The rest, we guess.
So you're a weatherman too.
All right. Well, we got a final thought.
If you haven't been ice fishing, you should really think about it. Look into it. I mean, they talk about winter being like, you know, locked up in the cabin or whatever, cabin fever. You don't need to have that. There's so much to do outdoors, and ice fishing is certainly right at the top of that list. This isn't my uncle dragging me out on the lake with a bucket. This is luxury, as he said. Watch Grumpy Old Men if you want to see kind of what it looks like. They're not all packed together like that on Lake of the Woods. They're spread out a little bit. It's fun. It's super fun.
And yeah, I've only been up there twice. I look forward to going up in 2026, first week of August. I'll be back up there. I can't wait. And it's worth the trip. Like even with the radio program, it's a very long bus ride, but it's wild on how as soon as you get off that bus and you see that river and you see the sights, that it just, you forget that you were just crammed on a bus for 14 hours. You were there. It's beautiful. It just takes your breath away. And I'm sure you're just like Ballards. You never want or need anything while you're there. Even when Savannah was like, God, you never get hungry up here, do you? I was like, no, you're always fed. They always have something for you. They give you times. You show up, you eat, you catch fish, you eat, you catch fish. It's the most incredible trip. I look forward to it every single year. And now I got another reason to look forward to it because I'm going to stop by and say hi when I see you up there in August, buddy.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. If you want any more information about what we offer, the all-inclusivity, the different options, the meal plan packages, the equipment, all that stuff, go to our website, full comprehensive guide on what to do, how to do it, riverbendresort.com.
And I'll put that in the show notes as well. Gear review coming up next.
Real quick, those association. What is it called? It's Lake of the Woods
He's the executive director for the Lake of the Woods Tourism
Bureau. So yeah, look that website up too. You can learn all about the area. It's pretty
I'll
awesome.
put that in the show notes.
lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Stick around.
All right.
Gear review coming up next. Brandon,
So,
in the podcast, the beginning of the gear review, what are you reviewing for us today?
I'm starting to pack away all my deer hunting stuff. I am going to hunt Virginia for a deer, but for the most part, it's that sad part of the season where we've been cleaning the rifles and putting the ammo back, figuring out how many shells we still got. But then I came across one piece of gear that I thought, this and my readers are both proven that the years are catching up with me. But if I left my grunt call, I'd be okay. If I left my rangefinder, I'd be okay. If I left my thermos, I would not be okay anymore. I drink coffee. That is my thing. And this is a cool collab that I've had for a while. So this is a Filson Stanley collaboration. And this goes deer hunting with me every time I hit the field anymore. And I think it's become my most important piece of gear next to my weapon. I would leave my tree stand to go back to get my coffee. And this little Stanley in the Filson bag is just a perfect size. Stays warm all morning. So the good old fashioned green Stanley Filson bag, hell of a collab.
All right, for my gear review, as you can tell, I'm rocking the Steelhead Christmas edition. Shout out Andrea. So she got me the super cool Christmas Story Double Dog Dare You t-shirt from Steelhead. The thing I'm really excited about is the waterproof bag. So this summer, when we start to hit the river and the trips, this thing is legit. It's got the padded interior sleeve, the lumbar support chest strap, some large hydration pockets, gear straps. I mean, it's called the Bomber. It is so cool. So much space. It's going to be legit this summer when we're doing overnights on the river. And it's got nice padding so you can put it on your back. God, this thing's awesome, Andrea. Thank you so much.
We'll see you down the trail.